Hello everyone. Um, in past couple tutorials, we talked about text files, how to read them, how to write them, and all that good stuff. So that brings us to a good segue to talk about CSV file. So CSV is an extension, file extension. So basically, it's a text file with CSV extension, and it stands for comma separated values. So each line in a CSV file represents a record, and each line may contain multiple values, each value separated by a comma. So what's so good about CSV file? Well, CSV file, again, it's a simple text file. It doesn't take much room, and it can be ported from one application to the other, from one database to the other, or from an Excel spreadsheet to a database. It's quite useful for, let's say, transporting data. So what I want to do in this tutorial, I'm going to create a simple CSV file and then read that in and convert to a C# class or object, and then do the opposite direction also. It gives you an idea how to work with it, or let's say if you have a large set of data in a CSV file and you want to convert to a SQL database, you can read it and then create a simple console application and transfer to SQL database. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and open our notepad and let's create a simple contact list. Okay, so we'll just go type in, say, Mike, and let's say phone number is 123 456 7890. Enter. This is one record here. One line is one record. If you have more fields, you can separate them with comma. Oh, by the way, you shouldn't have any space to mess things up. And so let's go ahead and add a few more records. Let's say John. 345 123 and then 9876. And once again, I did it again. I keep adding the spaces, which I shouldn't. Just a bad habit, I guess. Let's add Jose. 888 123 4343. All right, so we have 3 records of contact lists. Let's say this is a contact list. Imagine it's a large file. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and save this. And I'm going to save this right in my project folder, in the bin debug folder. I'm gonna select star.star from the menu so we can see all the files in my project. So I'm going to save this as contacts.csv. Right, let's save this and close this out. All right, let's see if I go into my project folder, I'll have my contact CSV present inside my folder. Let's go back to our project, C# project. And so the first thing I want to do here, I want to create a class right outside my program class. And I'm going to name this contact. So basically, each value is going to be a property in my class. So prop, string, name, then another property. This is going to be string also, and this is going to be phone number. Let's just call it phone. Okay, so that's my class. Next, I'm going to create a static method here inside my program class and call this get contacts, or let's call this actually read CSV file, because I'm going to use the get contacts in a different class, so just don't want to use the same name. All right, so in here we're going to use the same methods we used in our text file, so that's going to make things, I guess, a little easier. If you haven't seen my text file demo, please go ahead and check it out. So in here, first I'd like to read the file, so I'm going to create a variable. Let's call this lines. I want to use the file dot file. If you've seen my text file demo, you'll remember this. If you haven't, please, I recommend you go check it out. So we're going to call the file class and say read all lines and pass in the file path along with the file name. Since we are in the same file folder, I'm just going to type in the name of the file, context.csv. Okay, so this is going to return a string array. Okay, so each record will be a string in the array. Okay, next I want to create a for each loop. Let's read them. So each line, let's call for var each. For each var line in lines. Line is this guy here. Let's print that out to the screen first, and then we'll figure out what to do with it. And let's go ahead and call our method. So read CSV file, and let's type a console.readLine here to wait so the console window doesn't close on us. Okay. All right, now if I run this, we should print the file line by line. Let's run this and see what happens. And there we have it. So we have 3 records, each one print as a line. Okay, so next thing we want to do, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to convert each line to a string array again. So let's say var, or you can just type in string array if you don't want to use the keyword var. I'm going to call this values equals line dot split. I'm going to split the line, each line, by comma. This is our character. So this is going to return a string array again. Okay, so from here, I want to create an instance of the contact class. So basically, we are going to map our array to a object or our class, to our class, contact class down below here. And then we'll read from that class, which actually we get there in a bit. So let's do that first. So var, let's call this contact equals new contact class, and inside our curly braces we're going to map the values. So the name is going to be, so the name is the first value, the it's going to be values dot, actually values bracket, square brackets, 0. And then the name, the phone is going to be equal to values 1. So we'll grab the name and the phone number from our array here and map to our class. And then actually I'm going to create a list object here. So var list equals new list of contact. And let's close this out. So here I'm going to say list dot add. So we'll add each record from our file to a list, a generic list. All right, so let's add that. Let's add our object we just created, the instance here, contact. And that's going, everything's going to be stored in our list here. So contact, okay. And then down below here, I'm going to print from this list. So list dot for each. Let's pass in a lambda expression. So console.writeLine. First I want to print the name. Actually, let's do a string interpolation in here. So $, open close, double quotes. Inside double quotes I want to do x dot name and then tab, open close curly brace again, x dot phone. Okay, so we're going to print all our records from our list object here, list of contacts. So let's go ahead and run this. And now we have 3 records print out our screen from our list. They're not printing directly from the lines here. Okay, so that's how we converted our value separated, comma separated values into our C# object. Now, if you want, you can convert this to, again, save it, open, create a database, SQL database, and then save all your records in a database. All right, so that's that. Next, we'll do the opposite direction. Let's say we have a large data set in a class here in our application, and we want to convert that into a CSV file. Okay, so I'm going to create another class here, public class, let's say contacts, plural. Here I'm going to have a static, public static. It's going to return a list of contacts, and let's call this get contacts. Okay, so in here I'm going to say return new list of contacts, and let's add a few records here. So new contact, let's say name is Jill, and the phone number is 333-4444 and 555. Let's keep it simple. Comma. Let's copy and paste this a couple of times. change the name, say Jane, Hale, and let's change the numbers here. 222 777, just to be a little different. Okay, and let's close this out. Okay. Before we create our next method, I want to touch on something here. So let's say again, if you have a large file that it's not yours, somebody handed you and said, hey, write a quick console application and convert this file into a SQL database. In this case, you want to make sure that each line of records has same amount of values, so you can put some safeguards in here. Let's say we can do a if statement here. Whoopsie. Let's wrap this around, surround this with an if statement. So if, let's say if values dot count, or length, actually length, is equal to 2, then do this. So this way you're actually, you're not messing up your database as you're saving, transferring data from your CSV file to your database. Or you can just first count, make sure each line has same amount of values, and find out if they don't, then you can fix them. You can go to line and fix it before you actually convert them. All right, just want to throw that out there in case you run into a situation. It's something to keep on back of your head. Okay, so that being said, let's continue and create a append method to add these records we just added down below here. We'll add to our CSV file. So static void append records, or append to CSV. And in here, we're going to get our list from contacts. So var list again equals contacts dot get contacts. Okay, once we have that, we're going to say for each var contact C in list. Okay, I'm going to say file dot append text. First, I'm going to pass in the file path, which is the context.csv. That's our first parameter, and then content. So the content, it's going to be, again, I'm going to use string interpolation here. So I want to save this as c.name, comma, is going to be a literal comma, and the next value is c.phone, and finally at the end of the line I'm going to add a new line. I think that should do it. So we are opening the file and we're writing the name, and then adding a comma, separating the value, and then we are writing the phone number, and then finally we're in a new line. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. I'm gonna call this right before the read CSV. So once we write to the file, we should be able to read the file with new values appended to the file. So let's go ahead and call that method and run our application. And there you have it. So we added this record successfully to our CSV file. Okay, so that's basically it. Until the next one, take it easy. Bye-bye now.